Yesterday we had gone to a certain point where there was this whole discussion regarding the intelligent student who has been raising a lot of questions. And the question is whether Atma has all these qualities we attribute it or not. That is the whole thing. Now, the Vedanti, that is the master of this whole school of thought, the monist, the non-dualist Vedanti has been trying to refute different allegations and establish the truth that Atma is only true. Then he has a challenge that Atma alone is true. How do you explain the existence of this multiple samsara which is evident to the eyes? He brings in the concept of ignorance or avidya, because of which we are seeing all this. And Sanadi asked this question yesterday: that what is the difference between Maya and avidya? Whether Ishvara is subjected to Maya? You see, the Vedanti is a very tricky animal, very smart guy. What does he say? He says that Bhagavan sort of makes use of Maya to show the samsara is existing. Mayam tu prakritim vidyat, Mainam tu Maheshwara. So Maheshwara is the Maina, the person who controls this Maya Sakti. Sakti and Saktiman cannot be separated. Like the electric bulb cannot be separated from the electric energy. You cannot see that as independent. The energy will always stay in those whole circuit which lights up the lamp. Similarly, the strength of a bodybuilder cannot stay independent of that bodybuilder. It's in him. Now the whole question is, does that make Ishvara all the time only Ishvara, not Brahman? Because Shastra says, Neha na nasti kinchana. There is no two, there is only one. That is what Shastra says. And the one who thinks there are too many will be always in hell. Hell is here ignorance. He'll suffer in samsara. There are so many Upanishadic statements where there is a lot of emphasis that the final truth is only one. However, depending on our understanding, we will see dualities and multiplicity. Now the whole question is, this particular avarana or adhyasa or superimposition at the level of samasti, the collective, the name given to it is called Maya. And somebody who has done a PhD in the Vedas, he has counted that something like 72 or 74 times the word Maya is repeated. Not in every page, but only 72 or 74 times. And that is employed as a very powerful tool to establish the mithyatva of samsara. However, the Vaishnavas do not see Maya as illusory. They see this as real. Samsara is also real. That we'll discuss today. How can what Bhagavan has created become illusory? So the Vaishnavas, whether it's Iskanites or Ramanuja Bhaktas and all, they consider the samsara is also real. Brahma Satya, Jagat Satya. Then why are you planning to get liberation? Because it is full of pain. So they have some weakness in the system there. This is Jagat is also fine, provided you try to, then why are you seeing samsara as a sagara? Shankaracharya will ask this question. The Advaita will ask, if samsara is real, and why are you leaving this and you want to surrender to the Lord? For them, liberation is Golakathama, where you will continue to exist. You will continue to exist as an individual, but in a Sukshma Sarira, in Golakathama, with Lord Vishnu or with Lord Krishna. And there will be eternal Rasa Krida. You are in an eternal state of happiness. That's an imagination. But the theory they propound is not so simple as I'm mentioning, just for the sake of cutting it short, because we are not having too much time. The Vedanti says you are just afraid of losing your individuality, which is anyway not true. Your true nature is non-difference from the Brahman. Jiva Brahma Ekatva, that is the goal of Advaita Vedanta, Advaitavadis. And they say that what appears as your individuality is just a delusion. It's not permanent. Don't hanker after it. And because you see yourself as separate and you're hankering after pleasure and trying to avoid pain, you are suffering. All the story of your samsara begins and ends with this whole story of hankering. There's a craving in you, and that is because of a faulty understanding. They use the word avidya, which is tamah pradhana, it's darkness. This tamasika thing is applying to the jiva. So we are ignorant. We are victims of this faulty understanding. Bhagavan is not a victim of Maya because that is his game. He is the Jadugara. The Jadugara, the magician, is not a victim of his magic. Who is the victim of the magic? The observers, the beholders. Those who are beholden to his magic. That is all of us. And why we are beholden? Because we don't understand what's happening. And that is our ignorance of the inner truth. So Bhagavan sort of again and again mentions it, that to understand Maya, as you remember in chapters 7, 8, and 9, what did Bhagavan says? Duratyaya. You cannot understand this game of Prakriti. There is only one way you can overcome it. How, sir? Focus on me. Don't try to fight samsara. Focus on me. Once you focus on me, I take care of you. You become truth oriented. Slowly the samsara will be there, family will be there, children will be there. Your friendships will be there, enmities will be there. But you will get a kind of a vaccine, the vaccine of truth. You will become immune to the vicissitudes, the difficulties, the uncertainties of life. That is Bhagavan's advice. Bhagavan Krishna said this, focus on me, I take care of you. Focus your attention on me. Everything will go on. Something is going wrong, don't bother. Continue to focus on me. That is what Bhagavan has said. So, we were discussing yesterday what the Siddhanti, the Vedanti said, look here, don't get too much confusion. Don't attribute avidya to Atma. Avidya cannot be a quality of Atma. Why? A person has jaundiced eyes and therefore he sees a white piece of paper as yellowish. Where is the problem? In this Indriya. But the Atma Jnani is beyond all Indriyas. Can you say he doesn't exist? Because he is beyond the Indriyas, he cannot have the dosas or the difficulties or frailties we associate with the sense organs, the senses that we have. He is there, he is Atmajnani, we recognize. However, the Indriyas don't affect him. He is not affected by the fact that he is having jaundice or not. Whether he sees the piece of paper is white or blue has ceased to be meaningful for him because he is seeing something much more primary, much beneath all that is phenomenally available to us as samsara. He is going beyond that. He is seeing what sarvam basudeva miti. He is at that level. He is not affected by it. Like the traffic police guy is too much affected by how many vehicles, who is breaking what law. That particular place, the head of the traffic department, the commissioner, is driving by. What is he bothered about? He is bothered about ensuring that the VIP is able to travel in time. Who is breaking what law? He has left it to the constable. He is not busy with it. Similarly, once the Atma is there, he is concerned with the higher truth of life, the liberation. Right? That is how we have mentioned. Now, this particular thing that because the anaditvat, nirgunatvat, adi, Ishvara Bachanacha. So Bhagavan has himself said that I'm Anadi, I'm Nirvikara. So when Kshetrajna himself has told you that know me as Kshetrajna, there is this Kshetrajna in all of you, and that is no different from me. There is only one Kshetrajna reflected on all of you as individual knowers. That's what Bhagavan said in the first two verses. I told you these two verses is the mother of Bhagavad Gita to me, because the way Bhagavan Sankaracharya has elaborated everything, you can grasp more or less even 30-40% of it. The whole summary of Bhagavad Gita is only these two verses and Bhagavan's Bhasya. You don't have to read too many Vedanta books because he discusses the key points here. Then this guy is saying, Acha, you are saying this. He's bringing the old question again. You are saying that avidya is not a quality of Atma. Okay. Then again, why are you talking about Bandha Mukhya? He starts asking the old question. What was the old question? Sastra Anartha Prasanga. So he will again and again raise that problem. That Sastra Anarthakya. Sastra will become Anarthaka. It will not be of any substantial relevance to us when you are saying that you are immune to coronavirus. Why should you take a vaccine? If you can say that virus of no kind can affect you, why should you take a vaccine? Similarly, if Atma has no avidya, avidya is an imaginary thing you are saying, then why should anybody read these Upanishads or the Vedas and do karma kandas for Antakarana Suddhi and then do Ishvara Buddhi and Upasana, then study Vedanta? Long process and useless. Why? Because he himself is never affected by avidya. You yourself are saying this. A person who has already got a master's degree, will he prepare for his BA examinations or BSc examinations? No. He's got a degree, he's got a job. Whether he has got a degree or not, he will be least bothered because he's well off. Similarly, once you know you are Atmagyani, or if you know Atmagyani, that's a different issue. Once you are arguing that Atma is free from all dosas, it's nirdosha. Atma is nirdosha. Then where is dosha? Dosha nivarana, ati prasanga, it's useless thing. That is his question. So what is his question? No, evam sati sansara sansaritva abhave. If there is no sansara, there will be no sansaritva. That problem we associate with. Sastra anarthakyadi doshaha. Sastra will become anarthaka. This whole sadhana will become useless. That is dosha. Syaditi chet is doubt. That is his doubt. Bhagavan Bhashyakara Shankaracharya says, no. He says, no, don't talk like this, that the Vedas and Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita or Brahma Sutra, these are useless. Sarvehi abhyupagatatvat. Everybody agrees that Shastra is relevant. Those who say that Atma has some qualities, they also want you to read Shastras. Those who do not agree Shastra has any qualities, called any avidya or anything, they also ask you to read the Shastra. Shastra has a higher relevance, and he will explain how. Sarvehi atmavadivihi abhyupagato dosa न एकेन परिहर्तव्यो भवति. तुम्हारे जो द्वैती लोग हैं, जो रामानुज के भक्त हैं, जो माध्वाचार्य के भक्त हैं, चैतन्य महाप्रभु के भक्त हैं, वो भी कहते हैं शास्त्र पढ़ना चाहिए. हम भी कहते हैं शास्त्र पढ़ना चाहिए. हम कहते हैं आत्मा में कोई दोष नहीं है. वो कहते हैं आत्मा नित्य बद्ध भी है, नित्य मुक्त भी है. They have a word called tatastha, that you are at the middle point of the bank of the river or the ocean. So on one side is ocean where you can get trapped, on the other side is land where you are free. But you are standing there because you are jiva, nitya baddha, nitya mukta. That's what they say, the Vaishnavas. So because you are nitya baddha, nitya mukta, but the Vedanta says you are nitya mukta only because of ignorance. You think you are abadha. Your pratibandhita satta swarupa is an imagination. That is what a Vedanti will say, Advaita Vedanti. Sankarapanthi will tell you that you think you are weak, you are stupid, you are ignorant, or you have some problem. That is your all imagination. Please stand up, raise your hand, shake the dust off, happily say, Aham Brahmasmi, read Upanishads. Don't bother about all these guys. Do Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Upasana, all these do for Antakarana Suddhi, but never forget, Shastra will not lie to you. You may not have money today, but your father tells, even if you don't find in the passbook, you are the nominee and there are few $1 million in your name. Should you feel depressed because you are not finding that nomination paper? No, all your elders are saying, yes, there is a paper. So you will have some hope. You look for that paper or try to get a duplicate copy, or you'll go to the court to get some kind of a remedy for that. But you will not get depressed. That is what Advaita Vedanti says. So he's saying everybody accepts. Why are you expecting only me to argue that Shastra is not anarthaka, Shastra is not meaningless? You are giving in the border where everybody agrees with me. Then he expands further. Katham abhyupagati, abhyupagata, abhyupagamate, abhyupagata iti muktatmanam sansara संसारित्व व्यवहार अभावः सर्वैः एव आत्मवादिभिः इष्यते. So everybody agrees, whether all these Atmavadis, whosoever accepts there is Atma, whether it is a Dvaiti or Advaiti, they all accept that you have to all, that Sansaritva and Sansara Bhava, that I'm a Sansari, I'm trapped here. These kind of Vyabhara is not associated with the Atma Jnani. Whether he's from Vaishnava Parampara, Saiva Parampara, Tantra Parampara, or Advaita Vedanta Parampara. Even he's a Buddhist, Mahayana Buddhist, he may not accept Atma. That I am Sansari, he doesn't also accept once he has enlightenment. And therefore, you cannot say that Shastra is useless because they may not have this Vyavahara, but they have reached there by understanding the cause of their ignorance in kind of Advaita Vedanta. Na cha tesam Shastra anarthakyadi dosa praptihi abhipagata. But you cannot say that in case of them, Shastra is useless, and that particular argument will apply to all schools of thought who accept there is something called Atma, and that there is a benefit, or there is some self, or there is some enlightenment, and there is a benefit by reading the scriptures. Tatha na kshetrajnanam ishwar ekatve sati Shastra anakyatam bhavatu. So please understand that even if you accept that Atma doesn't have any dosha, and Kshetrajna jitne sare hain, all the Kshetrajnas, conscious being, Ishwar ekatve, and there is only one Ishwara, which is Kshetrajna. We are all appearing as multiples. The Dvaiti says we are all separate. Advaita Vedanta says we are all one. Why? We are non-different from Brahman. So if we say Ishwara is one and we are part of it, Sati, Shastra anarthakam bhavatu, that you cannot say Shastra becomes useless. Why? Avidya visayecha arthavatvam, because Shastra is very relevant in the avidya dasa. Like I will give an example. So there is a person who is afraid. There is some kind of a fear that he is actually very healthy, extremely healthy person, there is no problem. But he has terrible fear that he is going to get infected by corona. He has that fear. Terrible fear. Now tell me, is it irrelevant for him to get vaccinated or to go for a COVID test? He will get a COVID test done and he will get negative, fear will go. So this testing thing applies even though he's very healthy. And there is another person who is extremely healthy and he's confident. Will he go for a COVID test? He has a mild cold. He thinks, no, this is not COVID, and he's very confident. He has followed all the principles. He has taken vaccine. He will not go unnecessarily for a test every day unless there is some vulnerability. On the other hand, a person who is a morbid, hypochondriac. He has that fear, unnecessary health-related anxiety. Some people have. He has it. Okay, let him go for a test. Similarly, this karma kanda and all that are relevant for antakarna suddhi. They are relevant for us. So far, we are not atmajnanis. Karma kanda is relevant. To think that you are all different and हम सबको अपना काम करना चाहिए, पढ़ना चाहिए, अच्छे तरह से ध्यान करना चाहिए, सब relevant है. So far as we are not atmastha, atmajna. We have not reached there. Therefore, we should do all this. Bhagavan has explained that in chapter 3, 4, 5, not chapter 5, but 3, 4. He explained that. Why that yajna you have to do, the karma you have to do. Why? Because that is your requirement right now. You are not a sarvakarma sannyasi. You don't deserve to be there. And if you run away, you will become a mithyachari. Bhagavan has explained, be a nitya sannyasi by doing your duty. Somebody has a child, somebody has a son, somebody has a wife or a husband, and suddenly you want to run away. And no, you can't do that. Bhagavan says, no, you have to do your karma. And that is your liberation. Because liberation, running away is not liberation. Liberation is removing layers and layers of ignorance. And by good karma, you do so. Avidya visaya cha arthavatvam. Tasya sastrasya arthavatvam. Yatha dvaitinam sarvesam bandhavastayam eva sastradi arthavatvam na muktavastayam evam. Even in case of the Dvaitis, those who consider duality between Ishvara and Jiva and multiplicity of Jivas, the Dvaitis. Nyayavadis are also Dvaitis, the Sankhyas are also Dvaitis, and the Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Vedantis are also Dvaitis. They all accept multiple souls or Purushas, and they all accept multiple Atmas, they all accept there is a difference, duality, Dvaita, between Jiva and Ishvara. They all accept. Of course, Sankhya could be Nirishwara or Saswara. The Kapila Sastra, Sankhya Sastra is Nirishwaravadi. But the yoga, Patanjali yoga, is Ishwaravadi because they say Ishwara Pranidhanatva. So in Dhyana, if you believe in God, it's easier. He has clarified. So he believes in God. His God is not our God. For him, God is a self-realized person like Kapila Muni. But he accepts God. Okay. Now, he's saying even Dvaitis, just not Vedantis, Advaita Vedantis, all other Vedantis, Saivas, Saktas, and the Dvaitavadis, they all accept this particular thing that Bandha Avastha mein hi, during the stage of bondage, which could be imaginary or real. Some people think it's real, some people think it's imaginary. There is a need for following the Shastra advice for Karma Kandas. That you should do Sradham and Tarpana, like Pitru Bhakti is going, so you have to do Tarpana every day. All this is mentioned there. Now, Purva Pakhi is now having another question. The defense lawyer has one more challenge towards Advaita Vedanta. What is this? You see, these are, Shankaracharya has summarized a lot of arguments which were perhaps taking place that time between different schools of thought in order to either accept or refute the unity of this whole universe. It's just one, which now a lot of physicists are slowly talking about. Or on the other hand, you think about multiplicity of the universe, right? There were a lot of arguments. He's trying to sort of, and what are the arguments about? कर्म कब करना चाहिए, क्यों करना चाहिए, जिंदगी भर करना चाहिए कि only in अज्ञान दशा? Because the Dvaitis, there are a lot of Karmakandis, traditional Brahmins who believe sannyasa is not prescribed by any shastra, they will argue. Shankaracharya started it. Before this, sannyasa ashram was not there, they will say. Even though Mahabharata talks about moksha shastra and Manusmriti talks about sannyasa dharma, they will say no, there is no such rule. Because they want to go on doing karma kanda, because they will quote from the Vedas one sentence, Java Jivet Agnihotram Juhiyat. You should do Agnihotra whole life. What is the goal of life? You have to live 100 years. And when should you start doing Agnihotra? When you have a child and your hair is still black. You should not have the child too late. Those days they were marrying very early, so they will marry in 17, 18 years. So the girl comes when she actually, she sort of attains puberty. So she'll have a child when she's 16, 17 or 18. The boy is about 19, 20 or whatever. Then he is a fresh young man with a son. And before he starts to relax, the Brahminical liturgy will tell him, okay, no fun. Start doing Agnihotra. Early morning you have to get up, you have to do Havan. Otherwise the son will not get the tradition. So that is how the father has to get ready. As soon as the son is born, he will start doing the pujas and prarthanas, everything. Many of the things we do, in fact, is to set an example for our children. That is about the Karma Kanda. This is for the Avidya Dasa that he mentioned. Now, the student is having another problem. Nanu, however, O sir, Atmano Bandha Mukta Avaste Paramarthatah Eva Vastubhute Dvaitinam Na Sarvesam Ataha Heopadaya Tat Sadhana Sadbhave Sastradi Arthavatvam Syad Dvaitinam Punah Dvaitasya अपरमार्थत्वाद अविद्याकृतत्वाद बंध अवस्थायाम आत्मनः परमार्थत्वे निर्विषयत्वात् शास्त्रानर्थक्यम इति चेत्. He is asking a long question targeting the Vedantis. What is the question? It's actually not a very difficult question. He is saying, देखिए, जो द्वैती लोग हैं वो मानते हैं कि हम नित्यबद्ध हैं और नित्य मुक्त हैं. वी आर ऑल द टाइम, वी आर बाउंड अप एज वेल एज वी हैव द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फ्रीडम. वेरी लॉजिकल व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. एंड सो वी आर नित्यबद्ध, नित्य मुक्त ऑल द टाइम. एंड you want to be fully free from the samsara sagar with the help of Lord Krishna or Vishnu Bhagavan or Lord Shiva or Ma Kali or Durga or whatever. You want Ishvara Prasada, and therefore you will do all kinds of karma kandas and upasanas. Bandha Mukta Avaste, or Bandha and Mukta Avastha, these two, Paramarthatah Eva Vastu Bhute. This is finally, fundamentally true for some people, not Advaita Vedantis. We don't accept Bandha Mukhya to be fundamentally true. Why? We are Nitya Mukta. Bandha Mukhya is imaginary. Why Bandha Bhasa? Why we see we are bound up, we are in chains? Because of ignorance. Who is the culprit? Ignorance. We are actually not in chains. We imagine we are in chains. हम सोचते हैं हम आबद्ध हैं. अतः हमें शास्त्र पढ़ना चाहिए, कर्म करना चाहिए, अंतःकरण शुद्ध होना चाहिए, फिर उपासना करेंगे, फिर वेदांत करेंगे. This is a long, staircase that we have to ascend to reach Atma Jnana for the Advaita Vedanti. For others, Paramarthataha, Baddhavastha and Muktavastha are facts of life. So he's saying for them, if you say Shastra is Arthavatva, because you are in a state where, let's imagine, that you have a lower salary, so you will do some business, then you get more money. So you're coming out of a state of financial difficulties to a stage of financial self-sufficiency, right? Or you are an undergraduate, you will do a master's and you will do a PhD, then you will write doctor, you will have a PhD or master degree. So if you accept that the degrees are real, then you can do some additional work to get a master's degree. But if you are thinking that BA degree and MA degree are both appearances, fundamentally not real, why should you study? That is the question. Targeted at whom? Advaita Vedantis. So he's saying here in Upadaya, but the Abadha Avastha is here. We must reduce it. The Abadha Avastha, Bandha Avastha is here. Upadaya, Mukhya. So both are real. What is rejectable, what is to be dismissed is the Abadha Avastha. We will do Krishna Bhakti, we will do Aradhana, and we will get Mukhya. Mukhya is Golokadhama. That Gantavya Sthala will reach there. That is what is the argument. However, you Advaitavadis, you the followers of Sankara, you guys have a tendency to argue that the Baddha and the Mukhya Avastha, this is also imaginary. All of us are Nitya Suddha Baddha. Then you are all the time being so happy. Then again that whole question is raising. Okay, Dvaiti want to study Shastra? Then okay. But for you, Advaitavadis, when you are telling that old question is again raising, like a seasoned lawyer in Supreme Court, why are you saying that Shastra is relevant for you? The Dvaitis, Vaishnavas say Shastra is relevant, I can accept, because they generally accept both Baddhavastha and Muktavastha. Shows what is to be rejected, what is to be accepted, they will say. But you are saying that Atmanaha Paramarthatve Nirvisayatvad. So you are saying that Atma is Paramartha and it is Nirvisayaka, it is beyond all this. So Shastra, the Anarthakyam, it is said, so there is actually no relevance of Shastra. He is saying, na, Atmano Avastha Bheda Anupapattehe. My dear friend, these Baddhavastha, Muktavastha, some of your friends who are Dvaitavadis, they are talking about in their books are fundamentally faulty. They don't realize it. I will explain to you how. Now the Advaitavadi Shankara is saying we are Nitya Mukta only. These are names actually. We are Satchidananda Swarupa. Who is Mukta, who is Baddha? These are words. Our Shuddha Satta Swarupa is beyond words. Avang Manaso Gochara. Mukta kya hai? Baddha kya hai? Dimag ka hai sir khel. The Vedanti says सब दिमाग का खेल है. दिमाग को सुधारो, then आपको ये तकलीफ नहीं होगी. Actually, largely what they are saying is fundamentally true, that much of the agony we suffer in our lives has they have a lot to do with the way we try to understand things. If we can have correct understanding, that is what both Vedantins and the Buddhists all the time emphasize on. Have a correct understanding, remove faulty understanding. Once you have that realization, which is really a good understanding, it's not about yoga, sitting and tantra or anything. No. First, remove the faulty ways of looking at things. If you can do it, of course, yoga is all good. Why? If you do yoga, mind will become stable. Then you can quickly understand Vedanta. But they said these yogas and all, fine. They can give you 5 minutes of excitement, 5 minutes of realized state of being. As soon as there is a sound horn, you'll get irritated. Somebody shouts at you, you get irritated. Why? Your dhyan ka bhang ho jata hai. We know all kinds of rishis who used to get very angry when the meditation was broken by someone. Because there's a mechanical tuning of your biochemical system to attain a state of peace, but that is not knowledge. Only knowledge can liberate. What is knowledge? Correct understanding. That is what Vedanta says. So he's saying, look here. He's saying, please do not at all get into all this. Atmano avastha bheda anupapatte. आत्मा में अवस्थाओं का भेद नहीं होता है. क्यों? आत्मा अविकारी है. Atma is one which is beyond all modifications. If it is beyond all modifications, and Upanishads have all the time emphasized that, why are you bringing in these words called Baddhavastha and Muktavastha, state of liberation and state of being bonded, this state of bondage? These are all words. That means no sadhana. No, you will do sadhana. So what is bondage then? Because of a faulty mindset. But you have faulty mindset, accept bondage, work on it. That is Vedanti. Vyavaharikatva na theek hai. Phenomenally real. We are all in problem. There is COVID, there is old age problem, there is diabetes. These are all, factually correct. Fundamentally not realized, fundamentally not to be taken seriously. That is what Vedanta will say. So he's saying, so how does he say? Tathacha sati abhyupagama hanihi. And then this whole hypothesis that there is a bandhavastha and a muktavastha. And if you actually, आत्मनो अवस्था भेद अनुपपत्ते है यदि तावत आत्मनो बंध मुक्तावस्थे युगपत स्याताम क्रमेण वा. इज आस्किंग ए लॉजिकल क्वेश्चन. अच्छा, बद्धावस्था और मुक्तावस्था आत्मा में है, ये आप कह रहे हैं. यू आर सेइंग दैट द स्टेट ऑफ बॉन्डेज एंड फ्रीडम इज देयर इन द आत्मन, इन द सोल. ओके, इन द सेल्फ. नाउ टेल मी, साइमल्टेनियसली और वन आफ्टर द अदर? इफ यू से साइमल्टेनियसली, you know what? You cannot run in two different directions. Can you? Can you say that you are a man as well as a woman? I don't know. There is a third gender now people are talking about, so we will not go that way. But can you say that you are asleep and you are awake? No, you cannot say that. They are two opposite things, right? So you cannot say you are sthira or gatisila. You are moving or you are unmoving. Can you say at the same time? You will bring in relativity, that what appears as moving may be still relative to something else. That is a different ballgame. But here he is saying that they are completely opposed to each other. Therefore, Baddha Mukta, this is the Vaishnava Vani, that we are Nitya Baddha, Nitya Mukta, this is a delusion. You cannot accept it. Okay? Sthiti Gati iva ekasmin. Sthiti and Gati. Yugapat tavad virodhat na sambhavatah. Sthiti gati iti eva ekasmin. No, you cannot have sthiti and gati. Stability and motion cannot happen at the same time in one person. Same way, baddhatva and muktatva, freedom and bondage cannot be qualities of Atma at the same time. Then you will now argue that one after the other. That he will refute now. Tathacha sati acha. Then you will say that krama bhavitve cha nirnimitatve anirmukhya prasanga. He will say that one happens after the other. Okay, how do they happen? Because there is some factor, or they happen just like that? He will say नहीं, वो तो अपने से कभी हो जाते हैं. पहले हो जाता है बद्ध, उसके बाद मुक्त हो जाता है. अच्छा, कैसे होता है? नहीं, अपने आप हो जाता है. तो फिर तो कोई मुख्य होगा नहीं. अपने आप होता है, कोई बिना कारण का होता है. That means you may go on doing sadhana, but you may remain abadha, because this baddha and mukta states you are saying happens just like that. There is no causal relationship. If it's happening just like that, you may not get liberation. फर्स्ट क्लास कैसे आता है? नहीं, ऐसे ही होता है. पढ़ाई के साथ कोई संबंध नहीं. फिर पढ़ाई करके क्या होगा? There is no need for any studies, isn't it? So that is refuted. He cannot say that is nirnimittaka, without any cause. Then he will say nini. Because of study it happens. Because of sadhana, the mukta avastha comes. The moment you say this, he will say another thing. Then he is saying anya nimittatvecha swato abhavat paramarthatva अपरमार्थत्व प्रसंगा. सो द मोमेंट यू से नहीं, जो मुक्ति अवस्था है वो साधना से आदमी मुक्त हो जाता है. अच्छा, तो आप पुराने गड्ढे में गिर गए. द ओल्ड ट्रैप दैट आई हैड सेट फॉर यू एज अद्वैत वेदांती इज दैट द वे बिकॉज ऑफ पिलिया, बिकॉज ऑफ जॉन्डिस, a paper whites yellowish to me. That is not my fault. That is not the fault of my knowing self. That is the fault of my eyes. This disease is fixed. The paper will appear white again. That means it's not my nature. Now you have said that doing sadhana, this mukti avastha, which is there in the self, becomes apparent. That becomes evident. So you are getting this mukti avastha, or you go to Goloka Dhama because of some sadhana. The moment you say this, I will argue, which means it is not an essential qualities of Atma. Why? Because it's naimittika, it's being caused by a factor. Anything which is caused by a factor is not your pure nature. If I give you some sweets, you are smiling and you are very happy. The smile is your essential nature, no? If I irritate you by making some jokes at your cost, you will get angry with me and you will shout at me. Is anger your essential nature? No. Because I irritated, you got angry. So how can anger be your essential nature? That is how the Vedanta refutes that if you say Baddhavastha and Muktavastha, state of bondage and freedom, are caused by some external factors, they cannot be the avastha, natural avastha, or essential aspect of the self. Again, he is defeated. So the Dvaitavadi Shastra is relevant for them because Baddhavastha, Muktavastha is real for them. That is what the student, the lawyer had argued. Now he is defeated by Shankaracharya, saying, look here, don't raise this kind of futile questions. Your argument has no depth. That is refuted. So, tathacha sati abhyupagama hanihi. If that is the case, that your hypothesis that the muktavastha and baddhavastha are essential aspects of the self, that is defeated. Kincha bandha mukta avastayoho purva puryo nirupanayam cha anyavastha purve prakalpa anadimati antavati cha tatcha pramana viruddham. Then another problem is there. If you say that baddhavastha is anadi, we are nityabadha, where is the beginning? We don't know. Because of papa karmas, we don't know when it started. Anyway, everybody accepts Mimamsa and Vedanta, they all accept Jiva is anadi, Agyana, Avidya is also anadi. So it has no beginning. Fine. Then what? Then you are saying the avidya or the baddhavastha, for according to you, the baddhavastha has no beginning but has an end. But is it logical? There is no beginning, how can it have an end? It must be nitya, like Atma. Atma has no beginning, has no end. Why should the baddhavastha will have a beginning and no end? You are saying Atma has no beginning and no end. But its quality has a beginning and no end. Why? It's a very powerful argument. You saying Atma has a beginning and has no beginning, no end. Okay, fine. Then you are saying that very Atma has a baddhavastha, which has a beginning, which has no beginning, but it has an end. And that same very Atma, which is Anadi Ananta, the Atma has no Adi and no Anta. Bhagavan himself has said also, I have no Adi, no Anta. So you are saying this Baddhava, the Atma, has no Adi and no Anta. However, it has a Baddhavastha, which has a beginning, which has no beginning but an end. Without Adi, but has Anadi Santa, Antena Saha. Anadi Shanta. And then what is Muktavastha? Sadi with a Adi, because when he has Atmagyana, he is liberated. Then he is Mukta, and he is saying is Paramarthataha, that is true. Then you are saying that your Muktavastha has a beginning, but it is Ananta, because otherwise you will come back again to the Baddhavastha. So once you graduate, there is no undergraduate state for you. You have become liberated from the undergrad status. So he's saying this is not logical, right? Because if you are accepting this particular thing, then the Dvaiti can actually turn back at you. Say, sir, आप भी तो ऐसे अद्वैतवादी कहते हैं कि अविद्या अनादि है, लेकिन अंत हो जाता है. Ignorance अनादि है, अंत हो जाता है. जब आपका आत्मज्ञान होता है, वेदांती मुस्कुराएगा, बोलेगा there is no problem. You see in what sense I am saying? I am saying it is an appearance. Do you know what is the problem? You saw a snake in a rope. रात के समय एक रज्जु पे आपने सांप देखा. You saw a snake in a rope. Can you tell me what is the date of birth of that snake? You saw a snake, right? You saw a snake? Okay. Does this snake has a birth? Does it have a birth? Does it have a date of birth? It's ignorance. It has no beginning. In that sense, I am saying that ajnana or avidya is anadi. Why I'm saying it has an end, it has a death expiry date. The expiry date is actually having atmajnana. That avidya as such has no expiry date. It has no beginning, no expiry date. But from our perspective, we are saying because it is a delusional thing, when it ends, we say that was the expiry date of avidya. But actually, avidya as such is not fundamentally real for the Advaita Vedanti. That is one particular thing you need to keep in mind. For we Advaita Vedanti will say the same thing which Advaita say or Sankhya people say. But we always bring in that smart thing called Vivartavada. It is an appearance. संसार है, कौन मना कर रहा है? नहीं है, apparent है. Real? No. Because if you consider it real, no moksha, no freedom, no liberation. You have to come back here again and again. And why you'll feel very bad when you die. You should feel bad because you are missing out on a beautiful samsara, right? So that is the very subtle difference you have to keep in mind, that avidya and ignorance and baddhavastha for the Advaita Vedanti is also anadi, has an end. But in what sense? The way the apparent snake doesn't have a beginning, looks like it is there, but it has an end. As soon as you see the rope, the snake vanishes. That is the death of the snake. Does the snake actually die? Can you get the dead snake? There was no snake to die. But you say, snake kahan gaya? Suddenly, snake kahan gaya? Your child, your son asks you, small son, Papa, ab saap maar rahe the, saap mar gaya. Actually, you put on the light, you saw it's a rope. What will you tell your son? You're so afraid. Your child asks, Papa, where is the snake? Did the snake die? Did you kill it? You smile. हाँ, हमने मार दिया. कैसे मार दिया? ज्ञान से. सांप मरा नहीं, सांप था ही नहीं तो मरेगा क्या? अज्ञान भी नहीं है तो मरेगा क्या? लेकिन अज्ञान दशा है. That is very experiential. We have a state of ignorance, and through proper understanding, we'll get over it. That is what is Advaita Vedanta. For others, that state is real, and Shankaracharya has summarily refused it, that you cannot talk like this. Then further he's saying, so then he's in Abhyupagamahani kincha bandha muktavasthayoho purva parva nirupanayam bandhavastha purve pahle bandhavastha prakalpa anadimati antavati cha, that it has no beginning but an end. Tatsa pramana viruddham. You cannot prove it because Atma is anadi and ananta. Tatha mukhyavastha adimat ananta. It has a beginning, no end. What is muktavastha? Sa pramana viruddha. Because whatever is created has an end. Remember this always. Mukti for a Vedanti. This is something fundamental to be hammered into our brains again and again. All the acharyas do it to us at Rishikesh. This moksha thing is not a sadhya. Mukti is not sadhya. Why? It is a स्वतः सिद्ध वस्तु. आत्मज्ञान क्या होगा? आत्मा है, आप पहचान नहीं रहे हैं. It is like I am wearing these spectacles but looking for it, and it must have all happened to many of you. The moment you put your hand there, you know you are wearing these spectacles. Praptasya prapti. You get what you already have. That is what is Vedanta. You just remember, you understand, you recognize a truth which is very much with you. So the Vedanta doesn't say that it is a sadhya like upma. You make upma, you make sweet dishes. How long it will last? For a few hours. The moksha, like meditation, you will reach a samadhi avastha. How long it lasts? Maybe 2 years, 3 years. Then you come back. Few moments, you come back. Why? It's sadhya. You did lot of meditation, reach that samadhi avastha. You will come back. There will be some kind of a decomposition inside, some disturbance, and you come back. If you don't come back, that is the end of the body, Mahasamadhi. But you come back. That is the standard practice. So whatever you achieve cannot be sustained for all time. But in case of Vedanta, the Atmagyan you achieve, you already had. It is Vastu Tantra. It is not because of any activity you got it. It is not Karma Sadhya. We have refuted it earlier. It is not because of any karma you will get it. It is not result of karma. It is jnana. It is understanding. Understanding of what? What you already are. You are in that Google map. You are looking for yourself an address of your home. Where is it? Exactly where you are standing. That is your home. But this why this gold chakra? What is the need of all this musical chair? And that is what is sadhana for Vedanta. Purifying the mind, because it's like a person is intoxicated. You give him a lot of dahi and imli, right? All these kinds of things are given so that he'll do, vomit again and again, so that you do detoxify his system over a period of time with a lot of hydration. So then he slowly returns to his ability to think correctly. In that particular avastha, he thinks in a way he thinks is correct. Actually, others know that he's all telling stupid things. Right? That is what all of us are. So, nacha avastavato avastantaram gacchato nityam upadaitum sakyam. So, you cannot create something nitya by doing avastantara, by moving from one avastha to another. Atha anityatva dosa pariharaya bandha mukta avastha bhedo na kalpate. Atha dvetanam api शास्त्रानर्ख्यादि दोष परिहार्य एव इति सामान्य समानत्वात् न अद्वैतवादिना परिहर्तव्य दोषः. So what he is saying, that this bandha and dosa avasthas are only imagined in the Atma, and so far Shastra's relevance is concerned, this question is as important for other schools of thought as the Advaitavadis. For them, Baddhavastha is real. For me, it is imaginary. Either way, you want to get rid of a state of discomfort and you want to do purification of the antakarana, and therefore Shastra is very relevant. Don't think that only it is irrelevant for me and you can prove relevance for others. That is not correct. Nacha Shastranarthakyam yatha prasiddha vidvat purusha vishayatvat Shastrasya. Right? Avidyat purushatva Shastrasya. Shastra anarthaka. Shastra is irrelevant. That is relevant for whom? Somebody who is already Atmagyani. 99.9% of the people on earth are not Atmagyani. So Shastra will remain very relevant. That is what the Vedanti is saying. Na parihartabhya doshaha. Na cha, and it is not abhidosam hi phala hetoho anatmanoho Atmadarsanam na vidusham. So, because of, in case of avidusham, that means those who are Atma Agya, those who are not Atmagya, but who are Anavigya, Atma Anavigya, those who do not know what is Atma. They don't have a correct understanding. Avidusham, they are Agyas. So, Phala and Hetu, I will do the karma and I will enjoy this fruit. For them, Shastra is very relevant. Now, Anandagiri is writing something. I'm just reading it so that it becomes easy for you to grasp. Don't feel burdened. It's very simple. So he's saying, Phala bhaktrutam kartutve hetuhu. Phal ka koi bhog kar sakte hain. You can enjoy the benefits of any cake. So you'll make the cake. Otherwise, why should you make the cake? Right? So, kartutve hetu. You want to do something because you will get the results thereof. Yadava phalam. Deha vishesho hetuhu adrishtam. Okay, so whatever deha vishesho hetuho adrishtam tayoho anatmano bhuktaham kartaham manushyaham ityado atmadarsana anadhikarakam tena avidvad vishayam vidhi nisheda shastram ityarthaha. What happens is he's saying, it's very simple, that for a person who is not having realization of the self, he accepts Atma hai, but he doesn't know what is this Atma. Then उसको लगता है, शास्त्र कहता है स्वर्ग जाने के लिए याग करो, तो करते हैं. Somebody who is not deeply spiritual, hasn't read the Shastras and all, but somebody, he opens his TV or listens to a YouTube channel, somebody tells him, there is something called Reiki, if you know, you will be very happy. He runs to a guy who knows Reiki. Then there is another lady who says that I'm doing pranic healing. He's giving some good speeches on Facebook. Some people call her up, can you help? And they become experts in pranic healing. So many students, so many gurus are there, and they are throwing these kind of solutions. Why? Because somebody is not happy. He doesn't know what Atma is. what is Vedanta. He doesn't know all this. Forget about Vedanta. What is written in Upanishad, he has not read. He lands up with the guru. He says, you do this, आपको अच्छा हो गया. उसको follow करता है. So, because he sees some phala and he thinks that I will enjoy the benefits thereof, therefore he does karma. 99% of people on earth, including many sannyasis, are subject to this sort of a misunderstanding. That is what he's saying. And that is because of ajnanis. Vidusam api manushyaham ityadi vyavahara tad vishyam shastram king nasyat. Lekin intelligent people, those who are atmagyani people, sometimes they also have this feeling, I'm a human being. They say, why should not they do karma kanda? Why should not they follow this karma kanda aspect of shastra? And he's saying, no. He's saying, bhoktrutva kartubhyabhyam brahmanadi mato deha dharmabhyam cha atmano anyatam pasyata na vidhi nishedha adhikaritvam ukta phaladu atmiya abhimana asambhavat ityartha. अब देखिए, I'm just giving you this example. This is giving a typical traditional example. So, somebody is told that, look here, you are born in this kind of a family. You are a good Hindu family or this family or that family. And you should follow these rules. Otherwise, you will go to Naraka or this and that. And you will get these benefits if you do it. Then he immediately goes to some priest and finds out what karma is to be done, and he does all that for his benefit. Somebody who has already knows this karma and karma's phala, they don't apply to Atma. They have already done this karma and karma phala. They have done Antakarana Suddhi. They have surrendered these works. As per chapter 3-4, they have done sadhana and have done samarpan to Lord Krishna. Atma Karana Suddhi has happened. Bhagavan has made them interested in Vedanta. Now they are studying Bhagavad Gita, Sankara Bhashya and Upanishads. Why should they go back to doing karma kanda and running after these gurus coming on TVs that Sunny Devta ko wo do, ye do, aap ye karo, Shanivar ko apna baal saaf karo, haldi pani piyo, all kinds of things they'll tell. They are relevant for some people who haven't reached this Atmagyan. Once you have started Vedanta, ignore them, don't get angry, don't feel bad. They are not relevant. This is all jumbo mumbo story. It has no relevance. For a jnani. For a jnani is fine. They will do all kinds of things. For a jnani, not relevant. Why should he get into this vidhi pratishedha? You should do this, you should not do that. Whatever the scriptures say, that applies to the people who have karma adhikara. Means they are still in a avidya dasa. Not for the jnanis. That is what he's saying. Therefore, the vidusa, the person who is wise, he doesn't need to get into all this. Okay. Abidusam hi phala hetur anatmano atmadarsan na vidusam hi phala hetu bhyam atmano anitva darsanasati. They see themselves as different from these karmas and everything. Tayor aham iti atmadarsanat atmadarsana anupapatte. मैं ऐसा हूँ, ये कर्म करने से मुझे ये फल मिलेगा, मैं स्वर्ग जाऊंगा, मैं नरक से बच जाऊंगा, ऐसा दिमाग में उनका सवाल नहीं आता है, क्योंकि उन्होंने वेदांत पढ़ना चालू कर दिया है. So therefore they will not get deluded or attracted or fascinated. So this very interesting thing. So in Rishikesh or in Badrinath or anywhere, they will ask, who are you, from which parampara, and from where you have come. These questions other sadhus will ask, other gurus will also ask. The moment you tell them that I come from Ujjain, क्या पढ़ते हैं वेदांत, their face will become very dry. They will avoid you. Where are you from? Kailasashram. Where are you from? Kasi. And where do you study? And then we study in that shastra. What kind of books you are reading? Upanishads. Kitna badi tantrik ho. He may be a big tantric, maybe having a lot of real powers. The moment you say I'm a student of Upanishads, that tantric will just ignore you. He'll respectfully ignore you, because वो जानता है ये बेचारा वैरागी है, मेरा पावर से उसे कोई मतलब नहीं है, ना मेरा पावर से ये डरेगा, ना मेरा पावर सीखने के लिए कुछ प्रयास करेगा. Why? उसका मार्ग ही अलग. And they lovingly, I have seen, they respect you. They will say Om Namo Narayana. But I know they have a lot of powers. They sit in the cremation ground throughout the night. I have seen quite a few of them. But the moment they see you and they know that you are a Vedanti, They will say Om Namo Narayana because they know they are trapped in a certain sadhana because of their prarabdha. They respect you. They have some powers. They can heal other people. They have some powers, but they know you are not interested in that power. So what they will do? It's like there is a very attractive person. Then the girl is in question is become a nun, or there's a lady who is very beautiful, but the boy in question is become a monk. For them, what does it mean? It means nothing. They will nicely have good, warm behavior, that's it. But they cannot be trapped. That is what happens to the jnani.